Well, hi guys, welcome back to Linda's Pantry. So today I am making sourdough jalapeno cheddar bread. So I've already got this bread sold for tomorrow and I need to get it done. So I'm going to show you how I do it. I do it quickly. There's a little boost to my sourdough starter, which is nice and happy. I literally fed it this morning and had it in the proofing oven, but you can see all the bubbles that are collapsing there. Oh yeah, it's happy. It's a very happy starter. And you're probably wondering, why has she got so much starter? Well, because I'm going to start dehydrating starter and offering it up for sale. So I always like to wipe down the sides of the bucket here. But I'm going to go ahead and get myself my starter. And you guys, you want to come in close and I can show you what I'm doing. I'm going to add quite a bit of starter to this because I love that flavor. It's tangy, it's awesome. So this is 2/3 of a cup. So I'm going to add that down into my bowl. I have some warm filtered water and I'm going to grab another 2/3 of a cup. We'll go the easy route this time. Okay. And then that starter is ready to feed again because it has been so. Okay, and I mean, I guess I could do discard recipes, but to me, I mean, this is the discard off your starter, so you're using it. Get it happy and use it. Okay, so got quite a bit of sourdough starter, but that's okay. And we're gonna add a little yeast to give it another boost, and that way our bread will get done quicker. And I'm gonna show you another trick to even do faster bread, because usually you have to let it rise, then you gotta, knock it down and let it rise again after you've formed your loaves. Well, I'm gonna show you how I do it. So in my bowl, this is warm, like body temperature. In my bowl, I've got my starter, and I'm gonna go 2 cups of water, filtered water, and 2.5 teaspoons of active yeast, or a package, right? Man, I'm gonna actually bump it up another 1/2 teaspoon. It won't hurt it. It'll help it actually. And then because I normally I wait until I've got my flour in here for my salt. So I'm gonna go ahead with my dough whisk. The Danish dough whisk is your friend anytime you're doing any sort of batter or dough. It does such a phenomenal job. And it's easy to get cleaned off, where a balloon whisk, not so easy. So we're gonna go ahead and get that starter, the water, and the yeast all mixed up. You do not have to wait for that yeast to bloom. It's gonna do its thing, trust me. As long as you don't have your water too hot, your yeast will do just fine. So there's that. Okay, now I'm gonna get my hands washed off here. And we will get moving on the next step. And I keep my yeast in the fridge and some in the freezer. So there's that. Oh yeah, it's already starting to bloom. Okay. Getting happy. Just so you know, it's happy. I know it is because we've got the yeast in the starter as well. So, and this is a big batch of dough. I'm hoping to make 3 nice big 3 1/4 pound or 1 1/4 pound loaves. So 3, 4, and literally it's by feel. So start with 4 cups of flour. As you get to doing your dough, you will see what makes it the happiest. Now I want to add my salt, and I'm using a fine sea salt. You can use kosher salt. This is a lot of dough, so about 2.5 teaspoons of salt. You want plenty of flavor, okay? And now I can already tell I'm gonna need more flour. So I'm gonna add another cup, or close to it. About 3/4 of a cup of flour. I want a shaggy dough, not too wet. because I'm gonna go in here and when I need it, after I do the stretching and getting the glutens all strengthened up here. So the shaggy dough that's kind of dry, you know, you've got some dry spots, that's perfect because this needs to really sit for a few minutes and rehydrate all that flour. But the key is it's trying to form a dough ball. It's really trying. I do have some on the bottom there. So I really feel like this might be a little bit too wet. So just a little bit more. So, and here we go. About 5 cups of flour, which is a good amount for lots of bread. So clean off my dough whisk, super easy, super easy. So now I'm gonna cover this up. It's gonna go in my proofing oven for a half hour, pretty standard for any of the doughs that I do. And while that's in there, I'm gonna get my jalapenos ready. My cheese is all ready to go, so I'm good there. And I'm using a mild cheddar cheese, and I'm using canned and fresh jalapenos. So it's gonna have some heat, and it's gonna be decorative. So I'll be back when I'm doing that. Okay, so it's already starting to rise up. I'm gonna get my fingers wet, and I'm gonna do some folding. Get up underneath that dough. Oh yeah, it's inflating pretty good. And this is a really soft dough, but you can see how it's coming apart. It is not at all got any strength to it to hold together. So that's what we're gonna be doing here for the next couple times. I'll do a series of stretching, which is basically kneading. You can already see it's gonna try to hold together a little bit better. Get my hands wet again. Keep it from sticking. And it also adds some more moisture into the dough. As soon as I feel like I've got a pretty good 2 stretches in, which is basically kneading. Once I've done this twice, then I'll incorporate the rest of a little bit of flour. Not much, but it is going to be a little bit to get this cooked off quicker. So there we go. Okay. Usually you would just stretch all 4 corners and then let it rest a half hour, come back in a half hour and do it again. I do 2 stretches on this, and I'll let this rest for a half hour. I'll come back, do it again. The 3rd time, I'll be adding a little bit of flour to it, putting it out on a board and separating my dough balls. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, so this this has taken off. It is like happy, and I want to honestly just kind of get on top of this. I'm going to be adding a little bit of flour into this dough, but I'm going to get my bench scraper, my dough scraper. You want to get one of these flexible ones that are rounded, because made for these bowls, you know, getting in here and getting the dough out of here. So I'm really gonna deflate and get flour everywhere, because that's what I do, right? And as you're getting it off the sides of the bowl, you can get some more flour in there. Okay, I'm gonna flour up my board here. I've just got a large cutting board out, and trust me, I'll be getting flour everywhere, I'm sure. Here we go. Turn that big ball of dough out onto the board, and it's got really nice stretch to it. It looks great, actually. I'm gonna need any of the pieces that you can get off the inside of your bowl. Go ahead and do that, because you don't want it going down the drain. It needs to go into the dough ball. Okay, so I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of flour on top of the ever massive dough ball. Got out of your way, sorry. Just a little bit. I don't want to add too much flour to this, but it's really active, it's happy, and now we're gonna fold that in. And stretch and turn, fold. And I'm gonna be shaping right after this. I'm gonna probably have to let it rest, but that's okay. You kind of know when you've got the right elastic dough ball. It bounces back, and you know you've got good strength. This could use some more kneading, so. I'm gonna get the knead on. And I can tell that this is gonna have like really good air pockets for all that cheese and jalapeno flavor. A little bit more if it gets too sticky. Don't be afraid. I don't want it sticking to my hands or my counter. But as soon as it starts to stick, I'm gonna add a little bit, just enough to keep it from sticking. All right, and so I did 2 stretch and folds on this, and now I'm doing this final little bit of a knead, right? Man, this is gonna be so good. Okay. Okay. As soon as I'm ready to shape this, I am gonna weigh out the dough. I'm gonna weigh it all together and decide how big I want my loaves. Usually I do a pound and a quarter for these, so we'll see. Yep, still need more. It's pretty wet dough. Okay, you guys probably don't want to just sit here and watch me knead dough, right? Or do you? Oh, now I'm feeling it. Now it's starting to come together. Okay, I'm gonna weigh that dough. Let's do that. And I'm just gonna put some flour down. Actually, no. I'm gonna put a piece of parchment, which I'm gonna need for the cooking process anyway. And let's do that over here so you can see. I'm gonna turn this on. Ooh, I got a mess going. Okay, it's on. Let's get this dough. Oh yeah, it's so nice. Big old dough ball. See how much this bad boy weighs. That is 3.5 pounds. Okay, so 3.5 pounds. So I can do one 1 pound loaf and 2 1 1/4. Okay. So we're gonna cut this into thirds. I wanna get it a little bit shaped up here. Okay. Okay, let's cut it into thirds and we'll weigh it out. See what this weighs. And again, you're probably gonna have to add to the raw edges just to keep it from sticking. Okay, let's see what this dough ball weighs. Oop, too big. Okay, perfect. Oh, you know what? That would work out. 115. Let's do 115 for all of these loaves. And then once I get that all weighed up, we'll shape these into their perspective. Okay, now we're gonna come in and cut this again and make another big giant mess. Nothing, you know what, this is so much fun though. Okay. Let's see what this other one weighs. I want them pretty darn close. Oh yeah, it's so close, 118, 19, and this one's 122. So literally I could take a pinch off of that one and add it to this first dough ball and probably be right there. See what it says? Yep, 119. So 2 at 119 and 1 at 1, well, yeah, this one's probably, now that I took it off of there. Sorry for my voice, you guys. And I did want to talk about the flour. Yep, 118. So I got 2 at 119 and 1 at 118. So that's dividing it as pretty even as possible. I wanted to talk about the flour. I use organic red wheat flour, unbleached. So, and I also wanted to talk about, this is a collab, but not really a collab. So for those of you that are following, and I'm probably gonna have to let this rest. I'm gonna let this rest here because see, it's bouncing back. And then I'm gonna roll it out and I will get that, the jalapeno and the cheese. But this is the collab that's not a collab, is between Sutton's Days and Alderman Farms. And we are all doing sourdough videos the whole month of February and beyond, but that's the main focus is February. So I'll leave a link to their channels down below and you can see what they're doing. We all started with, well, I started with a loaf of bread, but then went into making the starter and maintaining it. And I've been maintaining mine ever since and not refrigerated it. So we're all doing something a little bit different, but yeah. Okay, leave it alone till I can get it into a nice rectangle that I can roll it up like a cinnamon roll. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so I've got my magic wand out here. And I'm just gonna get this into kind of a manageable rectangle, if you will. Kind of like what you would do for cinnamon rolls. I don't care about being perfect, but I want a pretty good surface because it's still wanting to bounce back a little bit. That's okay. You can let it rest a few more minutes and it'll stop that behavior. But I want to get a nice big surface, and as I am rolling this, it will stretch. So make sure it's not stuck to your cutting board. And I'm going to add jalapenos. Hold on, let me go grab my jalapenos. The other ones, not the fresh one. Okay, so I've got a combination of fresh and canned. And these are canned jalapenos. Just plain old canned jalapenos. So I'm gonna get these in here. They don't have a lot of heat, so I want a little bit of spice to this bread. So that means I'm gonna add some regular jalapenos. Now I've cut most of these. I've cut these into rings first, but now I'm gonna arrange some of this because rings are hard to roll up. I'll scatter some of these. And these have the seeds and membrane and all, so there's gonna be some heat to them. And yeah. I don't want my bread to be plain Jane. And then now, cheddar cheese. And I use a mild cheddar. And this video was totally inspired by Patty and Lisa over at Sutton's Days, but Patty Alderman at Alderman Farm, she has a video on how to do this too. And she, this is her technique of shaping the dough. I bake it off differently, but it's still inspired by Patty. So thank you, Patty. Anyway, okay. And I do need to get a parchment ready to go, because once you get this shaped and cut, you've got to get it onto parchment, right? So then it's ready to go in your vessel for cooking, because I'm not gonna take the time to wait. And this is the difference. I'm not gonna take the time to wait on my dough to rise again. Does that make sense? So fold that one end over like that and pull it, stretch it back. Oops, stretch it back. Pull and stretch, pull and stretch. Roll, and as you're rolling, if it's sticking to the board at all, you can use your bench scraper, because it might. It sat there and kind of relaxed a little bit. Want to really get the dough shaped up pretty tight, just like a cinnamon roll, people. Okay, if you need a little flour, get it some flour. Yeah, and then really get that rolled up good. And this is actually a little longer than usual. So I might do something different here. Let's do something different, because I'm gonna cut it in half that way, and then in half again. Seam side, put your seam sides down, okay? Not that it really matters in the end. Then lengthwise, I'm gonna cut it. You're cutting the dough lengthwise. Oh yeah. And that lengthwise, right? And now I'm gonna intertwine these and pinch your dough together somehow at that one end. Okay, just like that. And then pinch together. Actually, I'm gonna do it like I did the other one. Wrap it over each other first, pinch together, right? Pick up your dough, crisscross it over, and wrap it at the end. So it exposes the inside, the cheese and all that. Now we're gonna put this onto parchment before I can't. Okay, parchment and parchment. Believe it or not, this is gonna end up folding into and forming one big cohesive dough ball. Okay, you can pinch these two guys together, but it's gonna be really interesting and pretty. Any extra cheese, little sprinkle of cheese on top, and we're gonna decorate it with jalapenos as well. Okay, can you guys see that okay? And I've gotta do this two more times, right? And I'm gonna take jalapeno slices, so whoever's eating this knows there's jalapenos in there. It makes the dough pretty. It makes a beautiful, beautiful loaf. So just a few of those here and there. And it adds flavor. Okay, and poof, poof, we're done, right? Okay, little sliver right there. All right, and this is gonna go into a Dutch oven. Yes, I am baking this in the Dutch oven. As soon as the oven heats up and preheats for me, I will pop these into a Dutch oven, a preheated Dutch oven, and it's gonna make the dough do a oven rise, an oven spring, and rise up and cook off without having to rise it a second time. But isn't that pretty? It's really pretty already. It's very pretty. Okay. And I'm a mess. So the breads, I forgot to turn the camera on. So I've got a loaf in each Dutch oven. Both the same size loaves, but they're in the Dutch oven. Okay, preheated, screaming hot. Okay, so the first two loaves are out of the oven. Look how beautiful. So I did I hope that doesn't mess this up. So the first 2 loaves are out of the oven. They've got a beautiful, they're still hot, beautiful brown crust underneath. And, ow, that one's really hot. They form their own unique shape. This one actually formed kind of a heart for Valentine's Day. But yeah, this bread is so delicious, addicting, and divine. So the first 2 loaves are out. The second one is in the Dutch oven. The Dutch ovens are preheated at 482 degrees. And after 20 minutes, I take the lid off. I put them in screaming hot with the lid on, and then 20 minutes, take the lid off, 20 more minutes, and this is what you get. All right, delicious. Sourdough Jalapeno Cheddar.